One night, after work, I walked home to the apartment where I lived with my mate. It was only a 5-minute walk, and at 10 p.m. I knew I wouldn't be out on the streets for too long. As I was walking, my flatmate was calling me. "Hey fella, when you get to the door downstairs and when you press the buzzer, make sure no one else is there when I let you in. There's a creepy guy hanging around." I agreed, without question, and hung up. As I was approaching the next street, I was keeping an eye out for anyone suspicious hanging around. I had no idea what this guy looked like or how he was acting, but I was hoping I wouldn't have an encounter with him, and hopefully he was gone. I couldn't see anyone until I started to turn into my street at the corner where the apartment block was. I looked up the street-lit path, where I could make out a weird-looking man, wearing no shoes and wearing shabby clothes. Then I could see he was holding something. It was a bottle of liquor. The man looked drunk and was stumbling as he walked, and he was talking to himself. He was also walking in my direction. I quickly kept walking straight ahead instead of turning into my street, so I was out of the man's sight, and I called my flatmate back. "Hey, there's a guy stumbling around the street down here. He looks drunk. Is that the guy you mean?" "Yes, I had an altercation with him earlier. He tried following me into the building. Don't let him in." "Okay, stay on the phone with me. I'm going to sneak back to the entrance now." I snuck back to the apartment building without the man seeing me, so I thought. I quickly buzzed our flat and my flatmate let me in, while still being on the phone to him. Just after I closed the door and started walking towards the lift, I heard a massive thud behind me. The man had seen me enter the building and is now bashing on the door, yelling at me to let him in. "Hey, can you hear all of that?" "Yep, quick, hurry up here." I hung up the phone to my flatmate and I got in the lift up to our floor and quickly got inside our apartment. My flatmate had explained to me that the guy had followed him home from down at the river in town earlier, and then tried to get into the building with him. He did call the police, but they hadn't really done much except do a few drives around the area. After 10 minutes of discussing what had happened, we went about doing our thing, and then suddenly the door buzzer was going off, continuously. Oh, here we go. He's pressing the buzzers now. Let's hope no one decides to let him in. The buzzer stopped. It went quiet. Maybe he gave up and left, or worst case scenario, someone did let him in. We went to our front door to the unit and listened carefully. You couldn't hear the entrance door downstairs from up at our unit, but you could hear the door to the lift opening and closing, and the lift going up and down. Sure enough, we heard the lift opening downstairs, and the lift was coming up, and it wasn't stopping. It was coming up to our floor. Next thing, all you could hear was loud singing and shouting in a drunk, slurred, aggravated voice. The lift then opened, and the voice grew louder. I looked through the peephole. He's now in the hallway, and he's banging on all of the doors. Next minute, the banging and knocking started on our door. He was yelling, "Open the door! I know you're in there!" I'm calling the police. My flatmate called the police again, and they showed up in a matter of minutes. Apparently they were just in the next street. They buzzed our unit, so we let them in. When they got up to our floor, they soon detained the man and took him away. Who that guy was, what he was planning to do in his drunken state, and why he came straight up to the top floor is beyond me. All I know is, we never seen the man again,